Amber, for having me, and thank you everybody for this opportunity to present. Um, so anyway, I'm actually a stand-in. I'm the pinch hitter for my cousin Brandon, who's actually been spearheading this effort on behalf of the AlohaSafe Coalition, which is a nonprofit organization that is comprised of volunteers here in Hawaii, partnered with the Department of Health, as well as business trade organizations like the Chamber, the nonprofit community, as well as some of the best and brightest out of MIT, Google, and Apple. And so what we've essentially done is assembled a team that has started back in March actually, I'm sorry, to help stand up the Department of Health's digital contact tracing program, which didn't exist and they didn't have the resources or expertise to do that. So, I mean, it's pretty unreal. And at the end of the day, at least for me personally, this is one of the most meaningful international, worldwide collaborative efforts I've ever been a part of. And Hawaii has the opportunity to lead the US by having the highest adoption rates out of any other state by building engagement from the grassroots community level, having conversations just like these. So anyway, that's why I really appreciate the Chamber providing me the opportunity to present. Please bear with me. I am a commercial real estate guy. I'm not a tech guy by any means. So a lot of these explanations will be high level. And Amber, please stop me at any time to ask questions or you need any points of clarification. And you guys are welcome to reach out to me or anybody else part of this AlohaSafe coalition with any further questions. So outside of that, I'm going to start sharing my screen. And I have a short deck to go over. So here we go. So like I said, the AlohaSafe Alert app is a powerful example of our community coming together so that Hawaii can move towards a healthier future. So what is AlohaSafe Alert? AlohaSafe Alert is a free smartphone app for iPhone users and Android users, basically everything that's not Apple. It notifies users if they've been exposed to COVID-19, and that's its sole purpose. The more people that use the app, the higher the efficacy, which in turn will allow us to, as individuals, help take control in slowing the spread of the virus. An Oxford University study provided by Google said that for every 2 app users, 1 infection may be prevented. So that's a pretty meaningful number. So this next slide provides an example. So say everybody here on this Zoom call, so actually right now it's just Amber and myself and any other viewers on the Zoom. But say we're meeting in person instead, but we all have the AlohaSafe Alert app installed. We're all sitting in a room together talking story. And while we're doing that, our apps are in the background, pinging each other, talking to each other in gibberish, throwing virtual shakas, sending Bluetooth radio signals, and measuring 3 things. It's distance, how far we are apart, and whether or not there's any obstructions in between us, like walls or partitions. The duration of our interaction, right, how long we are together, as well as the date and time. So say the next day I start feeling sick, I'm not feeling well, I call my doctor, I get tested, and it turns out I have COVID-19. Everyone in our meeting yesterday would then automatically receive a notification on their smartphone saying that they may have been exposed to COVID-19, and then to call their physician, get tested, quarantine, etc. The notification does not say who was sick. It does not say where the infection took place. Uncle that's down in the hallway in a separate office with his door closed, or the maintenance guy outside won't get these notifications because they did not meet that exposure criteria, and therefore will not have been deemed at risk. So when we think about our group being notified almost in real time, instantly, instead of going about socializing and waiting days or weeks until being notified about the exposure, we save a lot of potential infections. So what this app does is it helps notify people that they may have been exposed, oftentimes with people they may not even know were infectious at all. It also helps the Department of Health contact folks we don't know. So imagine situations where people don't all know each other, like riding the bus, waiting in line at the bank or supermarket, a church service, the airplane, restaurants, bars. The applications are pretty meaningful when you start thinking about the amount of people that we actually don't know and interact with on a daily basis. So at a high level, that's how this technology works. But one thing that we continuously emphasize, as well as Google and Apple have emphasized since day one, is that this technology has been built with privacy at its core. It's already utilized worldwide. It's embedded in the smartphone, the operating systems of everyone's smartphone already. And essentially the devices are talking to each other in gibberish with no personal identifiable information. And I'll show that to you when I download the application. It doesn't track your location. It has no idea who you are or where you are. The AlohaSafe Alert app utilizes the Department of Health's existing contact tracing infrastructure. So the DOH and epidemiologists have said that this exposure notification technology enhances and complements traditional and existing contact tracing methods. So it leverages the resources and systems that are already in place. Now, there isn't additional burden or resources that are needed. It literally is a tool that helps them be more efficient. It can speed up the whole contact tracing notification process by reducing the time it takes for a person to find out they've been exposed, which enables them to quarantine, avoid exposing others. We can think about how long, or at least we've heard about in the news, or even experiencing with other friends and family, about how long it takes sometimes to get notified, or for the contact tracer to go through the list of potential contacts. Instead of it taking weeks to reach every single person, the entire process happens in real time, and it gets cut down to within 48 hours. So we can think about the amount of potential exposures are prevented. Oftentimes during the contact tracing process, people don't always remember who exactly they've been in contact with. So you and I, Amber, when we're thinking about this, I don't think either of us would be able to say definitively every single person and place we've been or people we've seen for the past 2 weeks, right? It's literally impossible. And that happens, every day as these contact traces are talking to folks and trying to go through that process. And so utilizing technology, right, it definitely helps us, be able to contact not only the people that we know, but all those people we don't know as well. So traditionally, I take a moment here to ask questions. So I don't know if Amber, if you have any questions, but otherwise I can continue onward.
Let's finish it or keep going, and then we can do questions at the end. I have a couple written down.
Okay. So what is GAIN? GAIN is an acronym that some of you folks may start hearing in the news or see online in due time. But GAIN is an acronym for Google Apple Exposure Notifications, which is this protocol that Google and Apple have been working together since the beginning of the pandemic, which is really cool. I don't think they've ever done anything like this before. And so the fact that these two behemoths have joint ventured and worked on something like this for the goodwill and benefit of the community to help fight COVID is really cool. This technology is embedded in, like I said earlier, in everyone's smartphones. And they've been working on this and operating the phone that you have right now over the course of the year. So if you actually looked up and checked on your settings, there's actually a setting that you can enable called exposure notifications that can only be turned on if and when your local health authority has effectively signed up and developed this app. And so the Hawaii Department of Health is utilizing this technology, and that's what this program is. So like I was saying, this is the state of Hawaii's Department of Health's official exposure notification app. Our state has a sole health authority, which is the Department of Health. And so they're the rightful and meaningful owner of a program like this. It's completely voluntary, meaning that you can go in your settings and opt in or out of these notifications at any time. Your notifications are only triggered within those specific parameters I was discussing earlier. The best practices right now is 6 feet for more than 15 minutes. So what happens if I test positive? I'll go through the flow chart in this next slide. Essentially what happens is you get a notification and a text message with a verification code, kind of like what happens when you reset your password with your online bank account or something to that effect. So here's a flow chart. A person downloads the app at some point in time. They may get sick, test positive. The Department of Health every day has a list of new cases that's has people's personal information as well as contact information. That's something that the Department of Health is the sole owner of. After that, it'll automatically generate text messages that will read something like you may anonymously share your COVID result to AlohaSafe and help your community, and it'll have a hyperlink which will then enable the person to voluntarily upload all of those anonymous keys that are saved in their phone. So back when I was using that example of us being in a meeting and our phones talking to each other, what's happening is when our phones are talking in gibberish, they're saving these randomized, completely indecipherable series of letters and numbers that are literally just for the sole purpose of remembering people we've been in contact with or phones we've been in contact with, and providing the ability to reach back out to those people in the event I tested positive. So in this case, all of those saved numbers are uploaded to the server, which in turn can go back and notify all those exposures over the past 48 or 14 days. And after that, recipients will receive a notification that to go and self-quarantine or get a test. So this next slide shows the different states across the U.S. that are rolling them out. Since last week, I believe California, Oregon, and Washington are also live statewide. So Hawaii is following that trend. And what is a pretty meaningful, approach to all of this is that the Association of Public Health Laboratories is hosting this national server where all those gibberish keys I was talking about, all these different states are allowed to utilize this free national server where people are uploading these keys, and in turn, when you travel interstate, your app can go back and check whether or not you've been exposed. So someone from California or Nevada, as an example, they don't need to download a separate app. It's cross compatible with other states that are utilizing the same technology. So will it be effective? One important note, like I said earlier, is that for every 2 app users, 1 infection can be avoided. And in theory, if 80% of all smartphone users, utilize the app, that would be enough to suppress the pandemic, altogether. So granted, that's not going to happen. That's a theoretical example. If smartphone users, if they didn't wear masks, if there wasn't any social distancing, if there weren't any vaccines, just utilizing technology like this would be able to suppress the pandemic by itself. So ultimately, what it's saying is that this is an effective tool to use in addition to all the other strategies that the Department of Health is trying to utilize to contain the pandemic. And we hope that people will embrace this technology, take the opportunity to actively participate and engage with preventing the spread of the infection and participating in the contact tracing process. And the more people that download the app, the more effective this program will be. So thank you very much. And Amber, if you want to ask any questions, please go ahead. And in the meantime, I'm going to start sharing my phone screen so I can show what it looks like to download the app and set it up.
Great. Thank you. We do have a few attendees, so if any of you have questions, just put them in the chat and I'll ask him. I have a couple questions that I captured throughout the presentation, so I'll go forward with those and keep an eye on the chat. So I guess first, I know you kind of went through the flow chart of how the notifications work, but it sounds like it's all done by the Department of Health. We would just get a text like if I tested positive, and I would get a notification by the Department of Health. They would ask for my consent to anonymously notify the people that were around me based on the app, and then they would handle everything else. So I wouldn't have to, I guess, report on the app that I tested positive. Nope. It's all done. Okay.
Correct. Yep. And so as I'll show you when I download the app on my phone, it's meant to be completely passive. It's not a thing that you actively check every day. It's kind of like a set it and forget it type of thing. And hopefully you'll never receive a notification. Hopefully you'll never have to enter those keys.
Yeah.
But in the event you do, you already have it on your phone, which is, pretty cool.
Great. Another question, I believe it said at the beginning that you would just need to have your Bluetooth turned on. Is there a sort of, I know for a lot of people, who maybe have battery life issues that, they turn Bluetooth off. Is there a protective measure against that?
Yep. So actually that's one thing that's pretty cool is because Google and Apple basically, right, they develop the operating systems for every smartphone in the world effectively, right? Them working on this together, they've worked on this thing. It's low energy Bluetooth, meaning that you don't necessarily even have to turn it on or off. It literally uses Bluetooth technology and it just runs in the background. So it's supposed to provide very minimal battery drain or usage. It's really just a passive thing that doesn't, drain your battery. So I would be worried about that as well. Apps in the beginning, in the earlier part of the pandemic, we're trying to use GPS, and that is a drain. Like if you leave your Maps app open right all day, it'll drain your battery. But low energy Bluetooth works in vertical environments, right, like offices, and it also works on the airplane, right? In the event you're traveling, right? That's where it's actually meaningful as well. Let me see. Are you able to see my phone screen now?
Yes.
There you go. Okay. So I'm going to the App Store. AlohaSafe. You can have a space in there as well. Both searches work. So I've had it download. I've been deleting it and downloading it for these demos, but I'm downloading it right now. It's not a large file, so it'll be quick. Open it up. Choose your language. So I'm going to leave it in English, but let's get started. Mahalo for using AlohaSafe. Together we can slow the spread. Your phone remembers other devices it meets, but it won't identify you to anyone. No personally identifiable information ever leaves your phone. What if I'm exposed? The app will notify you if you may have been exposed to COVID-19. So as I've gone through the presentation, I already explained kind of how it works, but this next setting, you're asked to activate exposure notifications. So right there, it's your iPhone can securely collect and share random IDs with nearby devices. The app can use these IDs to notify you if you've been exposed to COVID-19. Date, duration, signal strength of an exposure will be shared with AlohaSafe Alert. Click Enable. Enable notifications. I'm going to allow notifications, and that's it. So like I said, it doesn't ask for any personal information. I didn't provide my name, email, phone number, address. It literally just runs in the background. The Department of Health wanted to have a stats dashboard, like we've all seen plenty enough. This is where you would enter the verification code if you tested positive. I don't want to press that. And here is it keeps a log of potential exposures, and fortunately I don't have any, and that's it. So I can close it out, leave it running in the background, and that's it. It's pretty simple. It's passive and doesn't require any type of daily updating or maintenance. Yeah. And the other states, especially for those that people may have family or visit frequently enough, fortunately, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, and California are all utilizing this same app technology and have already launched it statewide. So Hawaii is doing, this is what this is, and this is what's happening over the next couple of weeks. Maui County is first. You guys are, congratulations. You guys are the first countywide. Kauai is next week. Hawaii County, we believe, is shortly after, and Honolulu County will be the last for whatever reason. But so statewide is, the goal is to have it statewide by I think the first week of January. Yep. So we just, I guess we're just asking the chamber to help, spread the word and goodwill. A lot of people have been, I guess, in the beginning skeptical of any type of contact tracing, or especially contact tracing apps, right, which would have to deal with surveillance and privacy. But like we've reiterated, this doesn't use GPS. It doesn't collect any personal info. And so opportunities like these to explain how it works, show you that it's an active part of the Department of Health. It's a tool that we need to help keep each other safe and contain the spread. And it definitely helps leverage efforts like even like the vaccination program, and different protocols that people are well familiar of. It's just another tool to help us get farther along. So anyway, we're definitely appreciative of the chamber allowing us to present, and we hope you guys can help spread the word amongst your colleagues, employees, whether or not you want to ask your employees to download it, or just tell your other business friends that this is something that you want to start utilizing as a best practice to keep businesses safe and open and keep people at work.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think something you were talking about earlier is really important as well, that I believe you said this app also communicates with other states' apps. So whether you're standing next to someone in line that is a resident here or someone that's visiting, if that person gets sick, you will be notified if you're within that, the parameters of what they qualify.
That's right.
Yeah, it sounds like a really important tool. I've already downloaded it on my phone. So
thanks, Amber.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, thank you so much. It looks like we don't have any questions from participants. So if there's nothing else, I think we've gotten through everything.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And please reach out if you guys have any more questions, or if there's other groups that want us to do presentations like these. We're more than happy to do it.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we'll be sharing, we've been recording this, so we'll share it with our members as well, and then I'll let you know if anyone wants another presentation or has any other questions.
Great.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Amber.
Bye.
Bye.